If your workforce is all of a sudden remote, you can use Forgeant to make sure they are staying healthy and engaged in their work.
Eric, thanks so much for joining me here today. I really appreciate you taking a minute out of your very busy schedule, bright and early there in Mountain Time, to join me here today.
Thanks, Alex. Thanks for having me on. Thanks for letting me bring my coffee as well.
That's it. Hey, whatever we need to get through the day. Awesome. I love it. Well, so it's been so interesting, right, over the last few months to really dive in and understand how folks have been handling COVID-19 with regards to their employees' experience, right? Because we find ourselves in the very unique position of here's this large external factor that is nobody's fault, but we got to deal with it somehow.
Right.
And organizations that we can't ignore it. In times past, I think external factors, organizations just say, well, that's not my company's fault, or nothing I can do about it. So just employees deal with it on your own. We've been pushed into a situation where folks have to deal with it. I'd love just your initial thoughts on, big picture, as you've worked with your clients to understand how they've best handled the situation. What are some of the key themes that you've seen in organizations as they try to best manage their employees' experience, even when that experience isn't in a traditional office?
Yeah, I think the companies in our client base and the companies that we deal with on a regular basis that fared the best, especially in the beginning, were the ones that could pivot into that virtual work from home space pretty quickly. Yeah. They had a plan, whether that was a disaster preparedness plan that they wrote for a flood that they actually used for COVID, right? So that they were able to transition the actual doing of the work from the office to the remote spaces most effectively. I think that was critical, but it was such an unknown, right? In the beginning, we were working in 2-week chunks. We thought we were going to be home for a couple of weeks, and
that's it, right?
And then we were going to be. And after about 3 iterations of that, we realized, hey, we don't know when when this is going to end, right? It's not like a natural disaster, like a hurricane or something, where it comes in and does its thing, and then we clean up and we kind of have an idea when we go back. So I think the second leg on that stool would be the companies that that accepted that and started to plan for, okay, this is going to be a long haul. What do we need to do to make sure that A, our employees can work, but B, that they feel connected? That was a big deal, because we don't get those incidental conversations in the hallway and while I'm waiting for the coffee to brew, right? So companies that took more aggressive approaches toward A, checking in on employees, and B, building in some more programmatic elements where people could hook up and talk about things, whether that was like office hours or something like that.
Right. I hear a lot about those different types of programs, which are great. It's like trying to engage employees with one another. How have organizations been successful at actually doing that? Right. Because if I throw up a Slack channel that says, hey, come put your funniest office meme, like maybe 2 people will respond. Right. So what do we do to better engage and actually encourage employees to participate, so that there can be that sense of unity and togetherness being not together?
So the company that's coming to mind, one of my larger clients, they took on this air of transparency that I hadn't seen in that organization in specific, and in many organizations just in the history of doing what we do here at SkyeTeam. And that transparency around, like you said in the beginning, we don't know what we're doing, but we're figuring it out, right? Just letting people know what the plan was, what we're going to do. As people's fears started to get stoked, there was a lot of pushback on, well, I don't want to come back to the office in 2 weeks because you can't guarantee my safety. And so just this notion of work from home as long as you're comfortable. We're going to give you everything that we know as it relates to the, municipal protocols, but just what do we care about as an organization, right? And this one CEO that I'm thinking of in particular, he lives actually on a farm, so he's always in their Slack channel for fun stuff, posting pictures of his cows and his chickens and stuff, which is pretty interesting because he's a pretty buttoned up guy, and most of his employees had never experienced him
that side of
in that paradigm. And that's what I think has really been one of the great sort of equalizers for folks to feel okay and be engaged. You know, we used to spend a lot of time when we were working from home protecting this space behind us.
Right.
Yeah. It would look like a workspace, and we would be professional and everything. You know, now we wear our running shirts, and our kids run around the back, and our dog jumps in the frame, and no one cares. And I think we've connected on a more human level because of it.
That's right. Yeah, you know, it's right. No one cares, but then at the same time, we do care because it's on a positive note, right? It's not a disruption. It's now I get to see a part of your life. You know, I think that it's so interesting. We spend all this time next to people in an office, right? And it takes us all being split up and separate to actually get a real honest insight into someone else's life. And how powerful could that be if we manage to hold on to that as we come back to the office? So that's my last question for you here today is when we consider the future, as we look at this unknown that we've all been trying to predict what's going to happen, and we've probably all been pretty wrong.
Right.
What are some of the, and we'll just say, generally speaking, long-term impacts that we're going to see from COVID-19, where a few years down the road, we will be operating in a certain way, and we'll think to ourselves, we're doing this because this is what we learned how to do back in COVID, back in 2020.
Yeah. GD's out of the bottle on the work from home thing.
I think so.
Even my staunchest adversaries against the work from home platform have admitted, right. And now, granted, we had this unprecedented social experiment where the playing field was even. Nobody was in the office. It wasn't like there was a split, and there were the people that could be productive out of the office, and then the folks who were in the office. No, everybody was level playing field. Everybody was home.
That's it.
So I think that genie's out of the bottle. I think you're going to see impacts in how we plan office space in general, but the concept of office. I have a client, a software development company client. They have terminated their leases in 2 major cities. They're going full virtual. You know, so I think that's going to be a big deal. I also think that the just the concept of video. Prior to COVID-19, how many video calls were you on where the video looked like this?
Yeah, that's exactly
right.
Yeah,
right. Because we would do conference calls. We didn't do video. We do video now.
Right. Now it's a standard. I don't ever get on a call with someone and not turn the video on. That's just how we do it.
Right. Someone called me on the telephone the other day.
Yeah.
And nobody uses the phone for voice in 100 years anyway. This is a texting device, right?
Right.
But they called me on a telephone, and I was like, should I answer that? I don't
know. It's probably spam. I don't know. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I can't see you. I don't trust this device.
I don't trust this magic box.
So yeah, I think it's those 3 things, right? I think it's the work from home thing for sure. The notion of what offices are and how we use them for collaborative space, right? Because I do a lot of training and development delivery, and we've shifted to virtual because we had to. It's not the stepchild that it was 10 weeks ago.
Sure.
But it doesn't replace the magic of getting a bunch of people in a room together.
Right.
So I think you're going to see this balancing of real time and virtual events because we proved that you can actually get stuff done virtually. There's some value there. Yeah.
Phenomenal. I love it. And you know what? It's one of those things where we're paying the cost for it. Like, COVID has not been a cheap experience. So we might as well get something out of it, you know, and I agree with you. I think those are going to be some strong silver linings that we see just in perpetuity going forward.
Yeah. Try to buy a webcam right now.
Yeah, right. Seriously.
$100 webcam is $400 and takes 2 months to get. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So we're literally paying the price.
Literally. So true. Eric, hey, thanks so much for your insights and your thoughts and your time being here. We really appreciate it. And look forward to continuing the conversation in the future.
Sign up for free today at Forgeant.com.